Welcome to France 2022, the campaign. Welcome to everyone. Welcome, Tom. This is indeed our daily show covering the presidential race. Today, several candidates showing off their hunting credentials. Eric Zemmour pushing for a ministry of remigration, and the incumbent banking on education. Here is the recap of the day with Shirley Sitbon.
For Marine Le Pen, this marketplace in northern France feels like a second home. Beaumont has been her stronghold for decades.
Félicitations, j'espère que vous avez passé.
Here, Le Pen is not seen as controversial. And the hard-right candidate appears confident even when talking about her rival, Eric Zemmour.
Il me semblait qu'il avait abandonné ce concept de remigration, qu'il s'en était détaché, éloigné. Je vois qu'il le reprend. Je pense que ça doit être lié à une situation électorale qui est moins prometteuse que ce qu'il espérait.
Zemmour, who has lost some ground in polls, is toughening again his rhetoric, promising to create a ministry to force migrants out of France. Those who have committed crimes, those who arrived illegally, and others.
Il n'y a plus de délit de clandestinité depuis 2012, donc on les rétablira pour pouvoir les expulser. On peut imaginer au moins 100 000 renvois par an. Voilà, c'est la remigration de ces gens dont on ne veut plus. Oh merde! Ah.
While Zemmour tried to revive his campaign, Emmanuel Macron has only started his, with his first media interview as a candidate.
Pour moi, les deux grands chantiers du quinquennat à venir doivent être l'école et la santé. C'est mieux payer nos enseignants. Il y a plusieurs milliards qui seront dédiés à l'augmentation de la rémunération de nos enseignants.
Macron's rivals say he has done the exact opposite in his first mandate, making teachers poorer.
Macron a maltraité l'école. Je n'ai pas entendu le président de la République remercier l'ensemble de la communauté éducative sur ce qu'ils avaient vécu ces dernières années.
Teachers may appreciate the Green candidate's words, but not the Hunters' lobby. They held a conference without him and Jean-Luc Mélenchon because they want to limit shooting. The candidates who were there sniped at animal rights activists.
Moi, présidente, j'instaurerai la reconnaissance du délit d'entrave. Encore une des nombreuses promesses faites par le candidat Macron il y a 5 ans, jamais mise en œuvre ensuite par le président.
The one candidate truly at ease at the Hunters' conference was Jean Lassalle, a former farmer.
Vous êtes, comme moi, des hommes passionnément, farouchement, charnellement attachés à notre territoire.
That is all from our campaign trail. Until we meet again.
Okay, so getting very busy in the run-up to the election mark. Let's take a look at the polls. We've got an IFOP poll from Tuesday. What does it show us?
It shows that Emmanuel Macron is still ahead, 28%, fairly significant margin over far-right leader Marine Le Pen, who is getting very close for the first time to 20%. Then comes the far-left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who's been on the rise, 13.5%. Eric Zemmour, the other far-right contender, 12.5%. And the conservative candidate Valérie Pécresse just a tad above 10%, which is obviously a disappointment for her.
Okay, so Macron and Le Pen leading the pack. And on the far right of the political spectrum, Mark, these last few weeks have been quite interesting, haven't they?
Yes, we're clearly seeing a trend. Let's take a look back in early February. Marine Le Pen is at 18%, Eric Zemmour 13%. However, at the end of February, they are neck and neck at 16%. At the time, several Le Pen lieutenants have ditched her in favor of Eric Zemmour, and he seems to be stealing the thunder and the votes from her. However, she stayed the course, saying, I need to be calm, composed. She distanced herself much quicker from Vladimir Putin than Eric Zemmour, and she's been rewarded because right now she's well ahead of Eric Zemmour. She's even ahead of, as we just saw, Jean-Luc Mélenchon and Valérie Pécresse, and very close to getting her ticket for round 2, like in 2017.
Okay, and if she does go through to round 2, still looks like Macron would win that pretty easily.
Yes, but not as easily as just a few days ago. The margin is 10%, 55 for Macron, 45 for Le Pen. In 2017, it was 64 for Emmanuel Macron and 36 for Marine Le Pen. So she has the momentum right now.
Okay. Now, during the pandemic, of course, France saw its share of anti-vaxx protests, as lots of other countries did too. But here, for months, there were up to 200,000 people taking to the streets every single week, Mark.
Yes, and now they're turning their mobilization into electoral success. And Maya Anaïs, yet again, tried to find out who those angry citizens would vote for.
They don't believe in COVID jobs and sanitary passes, but they're confident in their chances to win the presidency. Their champion, Nicolas Dupont-Aignan, stands in the front row, hoping to collect the votes of the thousands of people who marched against COVID measures last year.
Now that we've all understood that those policies are just smoke and mirrors, I want the vaccine and sanitary passes to disappear and to implement a much smarter health policy. Don't be fooled, the suspension of the sanitary pass is temporary. If Macron is re-elected, it will be brought back.
Nicolas Dupont-Aignan has been endorsed by Florian Philippot, a French far-right politician and former right hand of Marine Le Pen.
She's only talked about the vaccine pass for the last 2 months, since the electoral campaign kicked off. She said in the press our protests were, and I quote, nuts. It doesn't show consistency, reliability or sincerity. I don't trust her.
The protesters are hostile to Emmanuel Macron. No one has forgotten that the president had vowed to piss off the unvaccinated. The upcoming election could be their opportunity to return the favor.
C'est absolument indigne d'un président de la République, digne de ce nom. Et puis ça parce qu'en fait les libertés qu'on nous supprime ne seront jamais récupérées si on ne change pas catégoriquement de régime.
C'est les seules personnes qui peuvent sauver la France, donc je suis là pour ça et pour me battre pour la liberté et pour voilà, pour la France en fait.
J'espère qu'on va gagner. Voilà, c'est mon seul souhait pour l'instant.
In France, 3 million adults did not get their COVID jab. Some candidates have been accused of trying to lure voters with anti-vaccine rhetoric.
Nous étions donc contre ce pass sanitaire. Nous voici contre le pass vaccinal parce qu'il est 100% inefficace. Et le droit à la liberté ne se négocie pas, même si parfois il nous contrarie.
Studies claim that anti-health pass and anti-vaxxers tend to abstain, just like the yellow vest before them, who never managed to achieve electoral success.
And our environment editor, Valérie Descamps, joins us on the set. Hello, Valérie. We're going to look at how the candidates have been reacting to the soaring energy prices because of the war in Ukraine. More specifically, whether they're in favor or not of boycotting the Russian fossil fuels. Where are they standing on this issue?
Well, it is a thorny question for the candidates. The majority of them have not publicly taken a stance on this yet. And I have a picture. I want to show you there all the different candidates and where they stand on this precisely. So 6 candidates are on the fence. They are vague about it. 4 candidates are against a Russian embargo on Russian oil and gas. And just 2 candidates have said they would support a Russian energy boycott. So the Greens candidate, of course, Yannick Jadot, he has been pretty outspoken about it. He called for an embargo on Russian oil and gas early on in the conflict. And for him, this is first and foremost a climate issue. An MP from his party saying that soaring energy prices were the result of climate inaction, that we were just paying the consequences for living in a world revolving around fossil fuels. Socialist candidate Anne Hidalgo is also in favor of an embargo on Russian oil and gas. She recently told reporters that paying for Russian gas meant paying for Putin's war. If we look at the different candidates who are against an embargo, you have Marine Le Pen, far-right leader of the National Front Party. To her, this is not a climate issue. This is a buying power problem. She said it would be irresponsible to completely cut France of Russian imports. Same thing for Eric Zemmour, far-right candidate, and Mélenchon, a leftist candidate, who say that this would essentially potentially backfire, and French consumers would end up footing the bill of soaring energy prices. Now, in the gray area, as I said, a majority of candidates are in this sort of gray area of not publicly taking a stance on this, or at least not explicitly saying whether they would be in favor or not of a ban on Russian oil and gas. And we put French President Emmanuel Macron in this category of gray because as a candidate, he has not made a public statement on this, but as a sitting president, he has supported EU-wide plans to stop importing Russian oil and gas by 2027.
Valerie, I wanted to ask you, I mean, any proposals being put forward as to how France might wean itself off Russian energy? What are the alternatives?
Well, a wide spectrum of alternatives, but really you have nuclear power and renewables on the different proposals brought forward by the different candidates. So France is a land of nuclear power, so it is no surprise that for a majority of candidates, this seems to be the solution. French President Emmanuel Macron, Marine Le Pen, Eric Zemmour, and Valérie Pécresse from Les Républicains Party, they all want to boost the production of nuclear energy in the years to come. They want to build more nuclear reactors, and we have renewables as well. So that's the other alternative put forward by Jadot or Hidalgo. For example, Jadot wants to install more than 3,000 wind turbines in the next few years. And quite interestingly, he said, I'd rather depend on the wind and the sun than depend on Putin.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for that, our environment editor. Valerie de Camp, thank you so much. Thanks to you as well, Mark Perriman. That's it for this edition of France 2022, The Campaign. We'll be back tomorrow at 8:15 Paris time for the next episode.